Before we get into this video, just a quick word from our sponsor. Say goodbye to bad hair days once for all with On Point Pomade. Whether you're looking for a timeless shine with an all-day hold or a natural finish with an irresistible fresh cologne scent, On Point Pomade will take your hair to the next level. Use discount code BGT10 for 10% off your entire purchase at onpointpomade.com.
Recording from snowy Canada, this is Big Game Talk. Now here are your hosts, Brad and Chris.
Alright, welcome to episode 7 of Big Game Talk. I'm Brad.
And I'm Chris, and whether you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, soon to be Google Play, Podbean, or watching us for the first time on YouTube, we're excited to be joining you from Brad's parents' basement. So we're here, and we got an exciting show planned. It's more of a theoretical show today, not really focusing on the day in, day out sports news, and more some of the theoretical stuff and
some debates.
Some debates, yeah.
And one that me and Chris have had for a long time that we've never been able to agree on, and whether we're going to agree today or not, I don't know, but I hope you guys can give your opinions.
It's less about agreeing and more about Brad getting destroyed, I think, because I don't know,
Well, I think I got the more popular opinion on this one, so we'll see what people think. And this is the one that we put up on our Instagram, and 100% of people voted that they wanted to have this debate. So you want us to get right into it?
Yeah, let's get in. What's the debate, Brad?
So this debate is whether or not the National League and the MLB should have the DH implemented. So currently, as everybody knows, American League's got the DH. So should it be MLB-wide? And I believe that it should be implemented. I think that pitchers hitting is an embarrassment. And Chris?
Well, I think that the National League is special for not having a DH, and it's such an integral part of the strategy of the game to not have a DH. And you're talking about so much managers' decisions late in the games when you have you're in a situation where you can't have your pitcher hitting, but your pitcher's pitching a good game, can go one more inning. It's that you kind of have to balance something, right? Whether you keep the pitcher in for the extra inning.
So in your league, you have it so you have to take a good player out of the game because he is terrible at something, and he has to do that. That's what you're saying.
So, but in your league, you take the manager out of the game in many ways.
You're saying the manager doesn't make decisions in the American League?
Not big decisions.
They still make decisions. What other sports league? Is there something where, do they have the QB kick the ball in football in just the NFC, and then the AFC doesn't? No, because that makes no sense. And that's essentially what they're doing in the National League.
Yeah, but you take a DH, and these guys, I mean, you take half the game is, yes, hitting is a part of the game, but defense is a part of the game as well, and you allow a player to only play that one side of the game. Yeah, you can compare it to NFL defense, offense, but that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, I agree that it's totally different, but we're in a day and age where pitchers they don't spend any time practicing hitting. They just focus on their craft. So you're putting out a product that they are just terrible at. There's no other way to say it around it. They're just not good at it. There's no pitchers. If there's any pitchers that are decent at hitting, they are no better than the 12th man on your roster that's just got a bench utility role. So even in the American League, I'm not saying obviously not every DH is going to be David Ortiz. You'd love them to be. But anybody coming off your bench is better than your pitcher. And just the National League, you're just taking that away. And you're just having somebody go up there, watch 3 strikes, go down the middle, and walk back to the bench.
But how special is it when a pitcher gets a hit? Like you one of the best moments in baseball history was when Bartolo Colon hit a home run. And if the DH was in the National League, we wouldn't have those great moments. Yes, most at-bats from pitchers are pretty boring, but the ones that when they finally squeak away a hit.
How many more great moments have a DH had in baseball than a pitcher hitting the ball?
But is it as great when a DH hits a ball? Because a DH, that's their job to hit balls. That's their only job to hit balls. When a pitcher does something extra for you, that's something special and exciting. And there's always that chance. I'm wearing my Jacob deGrom jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Mets could benefit from maybe putting Robinson Cano in the DH. I'm not going to lie, as a Met fan, that would help. But at the same time, the Mets have some great hitting pitchers, and it puts the incentive on the pitchers to, yeah, you're focusing on your pitching, but you're also take a few hits at batting practice. Practice your bunts. Bunting is a huge part of the National League. It's part of the strategy. It's part of the way the decisions managers make.
You say bunting is a huge part of the game. We are in a new era of baseball that it's viewed more as an old person's game.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get new people into it. Baseball is a really slow game. So Rob Manfred's trying to make some changes. So do you really want, for pace of play and all this, for there to be bunting in baseball? Do you think that is going to help sell tickets?
Bunting is very exciting, Brad. When you see a guy leg out a
which
a
pitcher's
bunt?
legging out a bunt?
Okay, so when you see a guy sacrifice bunt, there's sacrifice.
Yeah,
there's,
I love a sacrifice bunt as much as the next person, but I figure we're baseball purists for the most part. If you are a casual, average baseball fan, a sacrifice bunt does not do anything for you, and watching a pitcher go up to bat doesn't do anything for you.
But how in order to you're setting apart the purists who I think we can agree are more focused on the strategy. So a National League purist is like I'm saying, focus on that strategy of when do I pinch hit my pitcher, when do I take the pitcher out of the game, when do I get the pitcher to bunt, when do I get the pitcher to swing away. All those strategies, the baseball purist, that's essential to their baseball enjoyment. That's an integral part of the game to the baseball purist. And adding one more power hitter to the lineup, I feel like you're gonna diminish more of the you're gonna take away from more of the baseball purists' game than you're gonna add to the casual fan that's just looking for big hits.
I disagree. I think that from when I watch baseball, and I'm a Blue Jays fan, so I've grown up watching the DH and everything.
I think it's pretty obvious where this debate.
I think it's pretty clear. But I would far rather, in a situation where, let's say the Blue Jays are in a playoff game, which is not very often, but they're in a playoff game deep in and the DH comes up to bat. I'd far rather have that than the pitcher where it's guaranteed out. But and even for the team that they're playing, because the pitcher comes up, you just feel like, especially with 2 outs, you feel like the inning's lost. It's done. It's over with. And then there's situations like you were saying about earlier where there's the strategy. Oh, the pitcher's doing really well, but do we have to take him out of the game? I don't want your star pitcher having to come out of the game just for a guy to go up to a bat who at best probably is a 250 average for a 25% chance to get a hit. So you got to take your star player out of the game. Then I don't want to see that. I want to see the star players stay in the game. I want to see the people that are better at hitting hit the ball. When I tune into baseball, I want to see people who are good at things do the things that they're good at.
Well, when you're talking about a pitcher coming up with 2 outs, right?
Okay.
That is to a National League viewer, that is a victory because you cleared the pitcher for the next inning. So yes, the inning is lost.
How much does that say about your argument there? But I understand that. If I'm betting a National League game, I can see your point there, and I've thought that before. But if you're don't you just want that extra chance, especially if a DH comes up, likely he's going to have some power. You always have that chance that they can put runs on the board, and you just taking that away.
Well, I'll go back to a pitcher is not a guaranteed out, especially when you're.
Do you want me to give you some stats?
Okay.
In 2015, they had, or 2018, sorry, they had 5,135 plate appearances. Okay, what do you think their average was?
150.
115.
So then, those 115 are even all the more special then when they get their hits.
115 just means it's essentially a waste of an at bat.
And that's
the 115 means the pitcher's up to bat. I can go to the washroom now.
And
I can go make a sandwich.
Well, sometimes you need your sandwich breaks.
If you are a part of baseball, do you want people looking at a part of your game and people realizing that they can go do something else? Because they're not going to miss anything.
In my experience, when I get up to make a sandwich, that's when the cool shit happens. And that's what it's so special when a pitcher gets a hit. It's captivating to fans. You can see it on the pitcher's face. It's this idea that for one at bat, you can see yourself as a non-athletic person. You can see yourself in the guy up. So then when a pitcher who's not known to get hits gets a hit, it reminds you that baseball is a game grounded that really anything can happen.
Okay, but there's a reason why we're not professional baseball players. So I don't want to see myself and be able to directly compare myself to somebody who's playing in the MLB.
You know, I don't want to see it in every at bat, but every once in a while when like a Bartolo Colon hits a home run, that's something like it's a lightning in the bottle moment that you can't get anywhere. And another thing that I really like about the idea, and it's not less about me not wanting the DH. I think the DH has its place in the American League. I like the idea that there's really nowhere else in sports where the two leagues that split the overall league have different rules. It's almost like you're in a different country with its own laws, and it makes interleague play all the more exciting when it's a shakeup. When if you're the Blue Jays and you come to play the Mets and and it's a rare chance where your pitcher has to hit. Now, as a baseball fan, you're introduced to a new form of strategy behind the game, and it makes the game fresh and interesting. In the same way, when the Mets go play the Blue Jays.
But see, for one, when the Mets come play the Blue Jays, there really is no competitive advantage for the Blue Jays for the Mets having to adjust to having a DH. Because you're essentially just taking a weakness out of your lineup and just being like, oh yeah, I have an extra hitter. When the Blue Jays, any American League team goes to play the National League, they're at a disadvantage. So you're looking at every year in the World Series, when it's all on the line, the American League comes into it with a disadvantage because they don't play all year having to go by with their pitcher hitting. So their pitchers, at least in National League, pitchers have some practice bunting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you no American League pitchers practicing bunting during the year because they have no need to. And you come in the World Series, the manager's not used to these changes, and they're at a disadvantage.
You're making my argument for me, Brad. That's why I love no having
How am I making it? No,
life ain't fair. You know.
So would you say that the American League shouldn't have the DH then?
No. Because they're special. They're unique in their own ways.
But no other sport, it has two different unique conferences like that.
That's part of what makes baseball special. And it's part of the character of the game. It's part of the nuance of the game. These are ancient things that I don't like it when, and I'll go right back to the last MLB debate we had. Like, yes, I don't like change that much, and it's just part of the structure of the game. It's part of the lore of the game. And like you really change the way stats work if you make this change. That's something that not a lot of people talk about, but I think stats radically change in the National League.
Yeah, because everybody's ERA in the National League is going to spike up. Because now they're not going to have free outs.
And I think the National League is like, I think the American League is more about hitting and the National League is more about pitching. Would you agree?
You could, you could say that.
And I think that's really part of what makes the game of baseball special, how the different interests and the different talents kind of shift to their own leagues. It creates just a unique environment, and it really makes you feel like when you're watching I usually watch National League games. When I tune into an American League game, it's fresh and interesting and almost a little bit foreign, and I love that feeling. That you get. You can't get that in sitting down and watching a bunch of football games. They all feel very much the same.
Yeah, well, American League, National League, NFL, XFL. Like that might be a little drastic difference-wise, but you're looking at big rule changes, which it makes it feel like complete different leagues. Mm-hmm. Which goes back to my point about the World Series. You can't have such different rule changes and then go, okay, now play each other and adopt each other's rules for the championship.
See, I like that. I like that idea.
It's fair.
And maybe it's not. If we were to boil down to its essence, maybe it's not exactly fair. But it's not like National League teams are constantly running away with the World Series. It actually is pretty even.
Yeah,
in the
especially
end.
when the Astros are stealing the sign.
Yeah, you know.
No, I can see, but like, do you think that the pitchers want it? Because there's been some people like Madison Bumgarner who I've ragged on in previous episodes of this podcast.
Don't you mean Mason Saunders?
Yeah. But do you think the pitchers want it? Because you look at somebody like Max Scherzer or Adam Wainwright, who's gotten seriously injured hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, they're affecting their performance and their bank accounts, because I mean your performance is going to be tied to your contracts. I mean Max Scherzer's got the bag anyway. But if you're a pitcher, why are you risking injury doing something that you're not doing all the time? So that's just going to up the injury. Like, do you think they want to do that?
You know, that's a good question, and I think it really depends on who you ask.
And I think, like I said, Madison Bumgarner. I think there's some other pitchers, like I think was it CC Sabathia, even though he played in the American League, wanted that. But I think the majority of pitchers, in my opinion, I would think wouldn't want to do it.
Well,
I think they want to just hone their craft.
To talk about Madison Bumgarner not wanting to hit to get injured is.
No, he's always been a fan of the hitter.
Okay,
because
sorry.
the Giants, remember the
I
Giants.
mean, he's a great hitter.
But the Giants played a game in the interleague game in the American League, so they had the ability to have a DH. And I don't remember who their manager. I think it would have been Bruce Bochy at the time.
It was.
He said like he didn't put a DH in and let Madison Bumgarner hit, and he just got ripped apart because they said no matter how good you think Madison Bumgarner is as a hitter, some announcer, I don't remember who it was, he's not better than anybody on your bench. You're telling your bench players that a pitcher's better at hitting than you. Which is simply false. And if you have anybody on your bench, Madison Bumgarner's a better hitter than, you better cut that guy and find somebody else.
You know, and I mean, when you have the option to take the DH, take the DH.
Yeah.
It's an obvious answer. But
so why not put it for the whole league then? Take the option, Chris.
But it's not, like, you know, I just, once again, to go back to the managers, that Bochy decision, you know, the managers just have way more decision, and what I'm really fearing, and this is less maybe about the DH thing, and more about the 3-batter minimum that has already been pushed into
for the relief pitchers.
And that takes away the choice of managers in both leagues. So now I'm clinging to the no DH in the American or in the National League, sorry, as the last kind of really solid place where a manager can make or break a game. You know, because I really like the idea that a manager's decision is especially late in the game is going to have an impact on whether you win or lose. And
I agree with you, but you're talking like the manager's decisions are completely taken out of it. I feel like managers' decisions have just shifted. Like the defensive shift in baseball, is that not coming from the manager? Like 20 years ago, that wasn't happening. Now you see defensive shifts all the time. Managers are making those decisions. You see outfielders coming up in their pocket with the defensive shifts all the time. Managers are creating those. Like the managers are still making all these decisions. They're still managing their bullpen and everything. They're just not doing this one rule. They're still very involved in the game.
But it's an integral, like, yes, the role of the manager has adapted in this shift, and that's a great example. But at the same time, you're taking away something that's belonged to the manager for so long. And I don't know, like, if you're a manager, I want to be in the driver's seat. You know, I want to be making have the opportunity to make these decisions, and I want my opposing manager to have the opportunity to make the wrong decision. You know,
so you're saying you'd rather be a National League manager?
I'd rather be a National League manager.
That's right.
You know, and I think the thing is, whatever disadvantage you have because you have to bat your pitcher or pinch hit your pitcher and take him out of the game, your opponent is dealing with the same rules. You know, and that is part of the game. It's part of the you know, game chess, or it's a chess game in a lot of ways, baseball, especially in those late innings. And that's a huge part of it. That's a major part of it. And I think there's a lot of people in the American League that just haven't experienced it enough, and it becomes second nature. You know, it's a second nature thing. And if you watch American League games most of the time, you don't understand this huge part of the game that is just second nature to people watching National League games all the time.
It's fair. And to be quite honest, like if I'm watching games, mostly it is American League and with the Blue Jays, so I don't get as many National League games. But when I watch them, I always just the pitcher comes up to bat, and it's just to me like I get the like the manager decision making and all that, but I sit there and I'm just like I don't want to see this. Like it's cool to see like the decisions you have to make and everything, but I don't want to see like, oh, this guy's having a great day. Let me pull him out. This random bench utility player comes in, strikes out because he's only got a 230 average, and he's one of the only guys on your bench. And now you just like, why do I want to see that? I was enjoying that pitcher who was throwing a good game. I don't want to see your random utility player coming off the bench. I'd rather watch an American League game where you got like back in the old days when Boston was playing, you got David Ortiz in the 3 or 4 spot as your DH. That's what I want to see.
Well, I think I'm thinking as a Mets fan, right? Like Mets are up against the Nationals, and Max Scherzer is pitching one hell of a game, and it's close. And Max Scherzer's up to bat with 2 outs, and the Nationals really need a hit, so they make the call to put in a pinch hitter, and the Mets strike him out. That is a feeling as a fan when that happens to the other team. That is a feeling, in my opinion, that is equivalent to a DH hitting a big home run in a critical spot of the game. So it's like, yes, on one hand it's not exciting for you when that happens, but when it happens to the other team, it's very exciting.
I can understand that. Now I'm gonna pull up something completely different around the DH here, and I want to get your opinion on this. So if you're a player, especially an aging player, and I look at the Blue Jays for another example, with somebody like Encarnacion who wasn't as great in the field as he got later in his career, and he could easily get spelled at DH or kind of just shifted to DH. So what do you think about players that they probably want to sign the American League because they know that they can get spelled at DH? They get a day off, but not a full day off. They can still get the bat. So do you think the DH has like the benefits for that?
I think that's the biggest appeal for the DH. It adds years to star players' careers. I'm not gonna that is, if you're gonna argue the merits of the DH, I think that's one of the biggest merits of the DH.
Because that was one of the reasons why I was so surprised that Bryce Harper signed with the Phillies in the National League. Because long term, he's gonna need to be spelled at DH, or might just become a DH. But now what does he do?
And I think I'll say 2 things. One, that appeals to me when I look at a guy like Robinson Cano on my team, the Mets. Right? He really. He's a bit lost out there at second base. The Mets have younger, more agile, more athletic talent at that position, and really, but Cano has a great bat still, has the potential to hit well. But at the same time, I've always liked the idea of the American League as the place where the National League star hitters go to die, so to speak. It's kind of like it's almost like a ride off into the sunset sort of thing, where you go off into the American League, and that's where I like the barrier between the leagues that just doesn't really exist in other sports. There's a crossing of the threshold, which is a really interesting thing, and it's really cool. Even the times where an American League pitcher will come into the National League and surprise themselves with, they're not going to be a 200 hitter, they're not going to be a 150 hitter, but they're going to hit 115, and they're going to do a lot better than they expected themselves to, and they're going to get better over time.
I mean, that's saying a lot. If somebody's hitting 115 and going, oh shit, I'm better than I expected. Because like, if you take that equivalent of batting 115 and put it in any other profession, I mean, you're saying sport. Like if you're doing that bad at something, you are fired immediately. And that's somebody, and like you're saying that a pitcher might do that and be like, ah, shit, I'm doing okay.
Well, I mean, baseball's a sport where, like, you're a really good hitter if you bat 300. Where else in sports does that exist?
Yeah, I'm not arguing.
Can a quarterback have a completion rating of 30%? Like
that's very fair. Baseball is special and very different for that fact, but the pitchers are just at a different level, like on that side, I think. And for me, it's just, I think it just comes down to it. The DH is just going to be more enjoyable to see. Like I would far rather have the David Ortiz career and the ability for my team, like the Blue Jays, to spell a player like have like when Josh Donaldson was hurt a couple years back, instead of hitting the DL, they just made him DH for a couple weeks. I'd rather have the ability and maneuverability for that than see Bartolo Colon hit a home run.
You know, and that's, I guess, where we have a difference of opinion. And I think it's really about, like, in the National League, it's all about planning ahead, right? And thinking of, and knowing your lineup, and really, and you have a lot of interesting opportunities. You know, you have people that put their pitchers 8 and versus 9, and there's lots of.
That's one thing. What do you think for that? Do you like the pitcher at the 8 or 9 spot?
I really like I think the 9 is tried and true because they're getting.
I like him at the 8.
And why so?
Because I don't want right before the number 1 hitter, right? Your leadoff guy. You got an automatic out before him once the game starts. So I like him at the 8. Then you get that kind of that second leadoff guy. But that's a whole other argument.
And I think the second leadoff guy is appealing, yes, but at the same time, I think if you're boiling it down to brass tacks, the 9th guy is going to have the least amount of bats. You know, and that's something you have to.
That's just fact.
And that's
really.
that's like, and anytime you put the pitcher to the 8th spot to have that second leadoff guy, which has its merits and has its, it really helps it's been proven to help the number 1 guy. But at the same time, it's a gamble because you're putting your pitcher out for more at bats.
You're correct on that. And now, how much of this do you think really comes down to, like I'm always gonna, you're never gonna sway me. I'm always gonna be for DH. I feel
and
like
you're never gonna sway me.
But if I was born a Mets fan and you were born a Blue Jays fan, I grew up watching National League. You grew up watching American League. Like, do you think we'd be different?
I think so. I really think it's a matter of what you're used to, right? You know, and I said this stuff is becomes second nature if you're in the National League and you're thinking about the strategy of, oh, when do I pinch hit my pitcher? Do I put him out and just pray to God that he gets a hit, and just so he can pitch the 8th inning? You know, all that stuff is just part of the game. It's baseball to me. Right, and so much to the point where the American League is something very distant and foreign, which I enjoy watching in its own way, and it's special to watch the American League because it is exciting to have a big guy like David Ortiz who's just there to hit home runs, you know.
But like, for me for that, it's like Rob Manfred. Change it quickly so the kids grow up. They're just gonna have the DH and they're gonna be happy. You know.
Manfred, get your greasy paws off the National League, okay? Get your hands off my league.
I think there needs to be some changes made. I think they've talked about it for so long. I think it's inevitable at this point that it is going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen. And I'll admit that. You know, the way Rob.
So just roll over and let it happen.
I'm not going to roll over. This is the hill I'm going to die on. You know.
I hope it happens soon. There'll be a part of me that is kind of sad because I do like once in a while a National League game for that true baseball, or for the enjoyment, the longevity of it.
And
you gotta have the DH.
Know, and we don't come into your league and say we shouldn't have the DH.
Yeah, because they play it the right way. So I don't know if we're ever gonna agree on this topic.
No.
But yeah, it's. I think there's going to be a long battle between people for this.
I think so, and I think this is just really the start of it now with the rule changes that Manfred is making.
Yeah, and it proves that he might go forward and really make this change.
Yeah.
That's been talked about for so long.
I do not disagree that he has the kahunas to go after this, you know.
Well, I wouldn't say he's got that because he let the Astros get off of a lot, which is going to lead us to something we'll talk about in a little bit.
That's going to be in the next segment coming right after this. Thanks for watching that YouTube clip, which was taken from our full show, Big Game Talk with Brad and Chris. If you want to check out the show and give it a listen, you can find us wherever you find your podcasts.
And if you want to watch some more YouTube clips where we talk about all your favorite sports, click any of these boxes here or check the link in the description. Thanks and have a great day.